Maybe. There we go. There's buttons. Hey, everybody. We almost got it this time. We were this close, right? But it was always an excuse to use the song. We ripped our pants when it comes to audio and video stuff. Which, by the way, he said your job is in audio.
That's why you bring me in.
I'm making it a perfect case for anybody wanting to hire you to think otherwise, because right off the bat, no audio for anything.
We don't need it. It's just a podcast.
Well, I do want to say to everybody, welcome. We're happy that you're here and that you've stuck with us too. Let's get into what we're geeking about, which, Cole, you were about to say what you were geeking about.
Yeah, so really, I'm just geeking about movies again. Generally, I take the month of January off because the end of the year push is so strong with movies. And so when the calendar turns to February, I start thinking about movies again. And I start just knocking off those last couple Oscar-y things.
Mm-hmm.
So the Oscars get nominated this week. I know that's like high on our just news thing that we're going to talk about, but that's what I was geeking about this week, is seeing which movies I totally missed, seeing which nominations surprised me, and seeing which final movies I can take off the 2021 calendar now that we're firmly into 2022.
It's kind of crazy. I've seen posts about like whose Letterboxd watch list is already in the hundreds this year, and I'm like, there's been 48 days so far this year.
Yeah,
I don't understand how that's possible unless you have a whole team that's doing your reviews for you or something, because there's got to be a sacrifice in quality if you're getting to that point. I haven't even finished my Sundance movies, and like I feel bad about that one because it's like I'm almost there, but then the new releases come out and I got to talk about stupid Marry Me, and like
do you?
I could talk about that movie quite a bit.
I mean,
it's the opposite of what I'm geeking about, but I could do that.
Are you a rom-com guy though? Like, are you opposed to the genre, or is this one just particularly bad?
I am a proponent of communism, rom-communism. No, I really, it has to pass a couple tests for me that are arbitrary and I make up on the spot. But for this week, there was two. It was between Marry Me and what was it? I Want You Back with Charlie Day and Jenny Slate. I gotta say though, I want more of that. I want them back for more stuff.
I'm sure you're the only person that ever made that joke in a review.
I'm sure they've gotten it a lot during the press tour. There was a video actually of Charlie Day. And you know what? Here's what I'm geeking about. Charlie Day, It's Always Sunny podcast. Have you watched it yet or listened to it?
It still is weird to me when people say, "Did you watch a podcast?" As we literally make a podcast that you can watch. But no, sorry,
dude. The It's Always Sunny podcast. Like, I know we're promoting, like, it's weird to promote something else, but if you like the Office Ladies podcast, or like, do you watch any of the episode recap podcasts that come on?
I mean, I've dipped my toe into the genre because I once on my old podcast did a podcast about podcasts. So one of the big genres of podcasts is just like people that are nerds and geeks like us and just want to keep talking about the things that we like. Yeah. So I've the West Wing Daily, and I've watched some of them. It's not my favorite.
West Wing would be an interesting recap podcast, and I know me and my wife mainly is a big fan of like there's some 90-day podcasts that are out.
Bachelor podcasts,
and those are fun because you can just gossip and complain about the stuff that's happening on the show. But the It's Always Sunny podcast, here's why I'm recommending it, because not only is it kind of a look into the writer's room, because these are all the writers and creators of the show. And so you've got a whole different perspective versus if, like, for instance, Office Ladies, it's a great show, but at the same time, they're only actors in it. So they don't have like that behind the scene knowledge of what the sketch was, why they were creating it, whether it actually worked at the first point, if people didn't think it worked. And then they get mixed into this it's actually them, their characters. Do you watch the show at all?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay. So Charlie actually bashes rats. Like, that is a legitimate thing that they put into the show. Glenn Howerton, sociopath, just a sociopath. Like the amount of time that they have spent talking about a parking space and about Dennis needing a specific way that people to park in the parking garage. Otherwise, it throws off his whole day, and he's just a mess.
That comes because that's what they talk about as people.
And then they make fun of the fact that he's upset about it. The cereal episode. Do you remember that, where Dennis is in the car? He's got a bowl of cereal that he's at a stoplight, and so he's eating it, and Frank rams into the back of him, and he spills the cereal all over. That really happened. So he walks in angry, and I know I'm talking too much about it, but he's like, he comes in really angry during one of the writer's room things, and he's like, I spilled milk all over myself, got all over the interior. And they're like, what do you mean in the interior? Like, what are you saying? And then when he told them, he's like, that's your fault. Like, you shouldn't have done that. And so the debate that they had in real life, they just put it into the show.
Yeah.
And so those things are really fascinating to watch. So I would strongly recommend checking that out. And other than that, I mean, I'm kind of in the same boat as you, geeking about the newest releases. I am hotly anticipating Batman, which of course we're going to talk about later. But with that being said, let's move into the Oscars, because there is quite a bit to talk about. We've got our nominations. We've got potential snubs. We've got really everything. So let's start with our best pictures. So we don't want to just like read through each and everything, right? So you guys can
everyone else is doing that.
Go to patrickbeattyreviews.com. You can check out the nominations list and my picks for it. But let's just talk about what we like about them and what we don't like. So best picture. Do you feel like there should have been a populist choice?
It's Dune. Dune fills that itch. And West Side Story should, by the way, like, it's a Steven Spielberg pretty musical. Win? No. It should fill that itch of like a populist thing.
Oh,
the people.
I don't think
when it's a musical and it's
populist for people that are like in retirement homes that have musical fans, and that's not a lot of people.
It's not weird. Like,
we're the small minority in that. I'm just saying, like, Kevin Smith made a point for Spider-Man No Way Home to be for Best Picture contender. And there is something to say about, if you're looking for ratings, Academy, you need to go with a more popular choice than multiple people have
integrity.
Seen. Well, I don't know if is it integrity, or is it recognizing box office during a time where it was desperately needed?
That's not the Academy's job, people. Okay. The Academy argument that I have every single year, and have since I first submitted my little like prediction ballot as a wee little high schooler that had seen maybe 2 of the movies and just listened to other people yell about them. And now I'm one of those people yelling about them. The Academy Awards, their kinds of movies. Now, somewhere along, and there are a lot of different award shows out there. Somewhere along the way, the Academy became like the bastion of what a good movie was during the year. And so many people paid attention to that one that the Golden Globes have fallen off to the point where they just send out a press release. Like, it's an email, it's a tweet. These are our winners. They don't even need to show anymore. But so many organizations have awards. We, the Gaggle of Geeks, should do an awards. Like, it's a fun thing to do to recap all of your movies. But just because the Academy did not recognize something does not mean it was not worthy. And the Academy is not beholden to try to be the only thing that awards movies. There's a Teen Choice Awards that Spider-Man will probably win. There's a freaking whatever. Like,
whoa, man. A Teen Choice Award? That's not saying
Spider-Man
that's not talking very kindly about it. When most people were really trying to go for, like, this should win an award.
If I had to list my 10 best movies, which is what the Academy and their voters are doing, Spider-Man would be in it. It was one of my 10 favorites of the year, but it is not an Oscar-Z movie. We don't ask like the BET Awards to nominate freaking Licorice Pizza. Like, everyone has their niche. Everyone has.
That's a whole different story.
The Oscars are a niche. The Oscars are the insiders and those people voting on movies that they liked. It does not have to be the end-all, be-all of awards shows and all things awardsy.
Well,
we have somehow made
it
that way.
How do you expect them to get ratings and viewership then?
I don't expect them to. I expect them to have integrity to their mission, and that is to award the movies that they, the industry, liked. And Spider-Man No Way Home has no like literary value. It has no... It's a good movie, but like when you go to high school and you read The Great Gatsby, it's not like film students are going to be reading the screenplay for Spider-Man No Way Home in 40 years.
Okay, can we make a more comparable one then? How about I make a better comparison? Let's talk maybe The Dark Knight, right? Because that did have some nominations.
That was pretty good, but that isn't a year where there were only 5.
That could have been nominated for Best Picture, though.
Could have.
So that is the fact, is that the Academy don't look for big box office films, and they
shouldn't
don't
have to.
But why? What is the problem with considering it? Like, why isn't it being considered when it's subjective enough so that it could have a voice?
I mean, have you talked to all 200, however many voters, and said they told you that they didn't consider it? I'm sure they considered it. It just didn't make the final 10
because they don't really
list.
publicize that. But I don't know.
They shouldn't.
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson could have been like, you know what? I'm on DC side now. We're just gonna go ahead and not put in No Way Home on this one.
Look, Dune and West Side Story are both traditional Oscars-y things that should have done pretty decent at the box office, that are more populist. Like the year that Black Panther and Bohemian Rhapsody both get in, right? A lot of people like both of those movies, and those have higher film validity than necessarily Spider-Man No Way Home. Great movie. It's number 4 right now on my list, right? I love it. I hate being the bad guy to things that I enjoy, but the Oscars don't. The Oscars do not have to award it for me to like it and for it to have
better. Which is the better film? Okay,
Dark Knight,
Green Book, or Spider-Man No Way Home?
My favorite was Spider-Man No Way Home. The more Oscars-y movie is Green Book.
Yeah,
and Green Book wasn't bad. I hate that
Oscars-y thing, right? We know what that means, and sometimes it can feel very generic and fake. Honestly, Green Book in a lot
very
of
biopic-y
ways felt manufactured, almost as manufactured as a box office blockbuster, but for a different way.
Yeah, so box office is
just
the
because
reward.
It's done a different way doesn't mean that it's not couldn't be recognized as something. Titanic,
it's going to get recognized, just not by the Academy.
Choice. Lord of the Rings, huge populist choice, and there was tons of accolades. And there was the time where most people were watching and tuning into the Oscars. You can't deny that they've changed a little bit. Like, they've gotten more stringent and a little bit more hoity-toity when it comes to some of their selections. They had Return of the King nominated for how many movies, and they recognized how big of a feat it was. Avengers Endgame, not so much. Didn't really get very many things.
Well, have you seen the behind the scenes of Lord of the Rings, and then have you seen the behind the scenes of Avengers Endgame? The technical production of Lord of the Rings was better.
Endgame is all of the movies behind the scenes. It's all of them. That's the accomplishment that should have been recognized, at least as a nomination. They're too stringent with their nominations. Quit being. Look, there's 3 of movies in this. Let's see. There's 3 of these movies that, to me, you could easily say will not win, right?
I mean,
so why are they there?
They're more than out of 10. West Side Story can't win. Nightmare Alley can't win. King Richard can't win.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Dune can't win. Drive My Car can't win, even though
so with all of these,
Don't Look Up can't win.
I think it should. I mean, half of it is because, let's be honest, it's because of budget, right? People are paying lots of money for their marketing, for their movie, to prop it up to win the award, and that's how it's winning awards more than anything. That's why we have nothing for Mass. And Mass was arguably one of the best films of the year. That's why we don't have really much for Pig, because we've not done a lot with that marketing.
For your consideration campaigns.
Netflix will throw millions and millions of dollars. I'll get tons of these books, these huge art books that are like 50 pounds.
And you don't even vote for the Academy.
And don't get me wrong, I love those books. And just freaking keep sending them. But at the same time, like, when you see how much is being used for it, it's like, whoa.
So when we make our awards that are not called the Oscars, the Gaggle of Geekies, the Gaggleys,
the Geeks,
the Geeks,
Geekies are cool.
Are those for your consideration campaigns going to sway you?
Well, no, because we're weird. we're so different when it comes to like what our picks would be, and maybe not. It would depend on what ends up happening. I don't know. It's in March, right? The actual March 22nd or something. I think it's around then. So arguably that's enough time, or maybe we can get the group together and write out picks. But I also feel like we've covered what our tops are this year already. So
but I want to get people, man. Like, I want to get people voting, because the Oscars to me are just a framework to talk about what movies I liked. I don't care what movies the Oscars liked. I often do not like. You mentioned Green Book. Green Book was a valid movie, but it's not my jam. All of these biopics, it was 2014, I think, where like half of them were biopics, and Theory of Everything was awful, and Selma was pretty good, but the freaking American Sniper movie was awful, and the freaking that's not my kind of movie, so I won't nominate them when I get a chance to talk about my favorite movies, but they're Oscar-y movies. And so the Oscars can do their thing. We're going to do our thing. And for our awards, I think Spider-Man No Way Home will get nominated.
Well, I do think that look who's here. Look who it is. Chaz, R.I.P. Denis Villeneuve. You know, I've told you this, when he finishes his movie, then he can get a director nod, but he's got to finish the movie first. Let's move into Best Director, which we have. I don't know. Is this the full amount, or were there more they could have picked?
No, it's just 5. Right,
so
it's locked in as 10, which RIP to the era of like between 5 and 10, whatever you deem is worthy. Now we're like forcing 10 in there, and Spider-Man No Way Home still can't get in there, which it shouldn't. But like,
oh my god,
whatever.
Quit throwing shade. For this, I would say it pretty much falls in line with what we knew was going to be in.
Good for Drive My Car. I mean, that's the one. That's Denny's spot that it took, and I'm fine with it. Everyone else should be there. Like Belfast and Power of the Dog, I guess, are the two like front runners for Best Pictures, so their directors need to be there. Yeah. Spielberg did fun, pretty stuff with a classic. PTA's PTA.
I'm fairly certain though Jane Campion is going to get Power of the Dog. That's going to be the winner.
Yeah, does that mean Belfast is your Best Picture, or does that mean
we didn't really talk about that. Who is your Best Picture then?
My prediction is going to take me another month to decide.
Wow. Okay. Well, thanks for the build up and letdown.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I think West Side Story is going to win. Yeah, and we're all going to be very upset.
That is a joke.
That's exactly what the Oscars do. That's what they do, man.
No.
If there's anything that the Oscars do, it's disappoint. And
Drive
that's
My Car
going to
has
be what
a better
it is.
chance than West Side Story.
But what I want to win is Coda, obviously, because best film throughout the entire thing, and yeah, I just loved it. Best Actress, we got Jessica Chastain, Olivia Colman. I was surprised Penelope Cruz got in because honestly, marketing and way they were promoting this movie, right. I didn't even get a screener until like January,
and I still haven't caught it. Like that's one that I need to. That in the next month, as I catch up on the Oscar movies, that's on my list.
And so I was a little bit surprised with that.
I guess not everyone is looking at what we're looking at. Penelope Cruz, Parallel Mothers.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's what I said.
No. Well, we didn't even say the name of the movie.
Penelope Cruz, Parallel Mothers.
Yeah.
You got it. All right. So Kristen Stewart, that was the one that most people are excited about with this.
Yeah.
But do you think she's going to win?
No.
No. Who do you think will win?
It's Chastain or Kidman.
I'm picking Chastain for mine on this, but I could see a world where Stewart wins, to be honest. But who knows for sure? Leading actor, I really, really want Andrew Garfield to win this, like with all of my heart. I feel like he had such a good year that this would be like the perfect rounding up of his dedication and work to both roles in this, right? And it's going to be Benedict Cumberbatch.
I saw King Richard before I saw any of those other 5 movies, and I was like, oh man, Will Smith is going to get an Oscar. All right. And now he is literally 5th out of 5. Like, that sucks.
Yeah. And to be fair, he did give a good performance, but it always comes down to this where it's like, there's so many more performances. Like, it's just an embarrassment of riches towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
And let's be real, this King Richard film, as great as he is in it, it's not necessarily about him, It is about him, but it's mainly driven by Serena and Venus Williams. And had it maybe taken a different form or it was done differently, maybe there would have been more. But I see his performance as a lead and a supporting. I don't know if that makes sense.
I think that the angle of this movie is that it's telling his story instead of Venus and Serena when they are the people that we know. And so the star power is driven by the fact that we recognize them
from him.
No, it's always about how he is raising these two as a dedicated and like pushy father without being like crazy Todd Marinovich-y kind of like crazy father that whenever you're trying to build a great athlete from
don't get me wrong. I know he's the lead and it's the focal point of it, right? But you
could have just made a Venus and Serena
for this
movie.
Entire thing was why didn't they make a Venus and Serena movie or something to the extent of yes, I like this, but at the same time, I wish we got more from this. So there's always kind of a little bit of a disconnect between him being like the main star of it, but also realizing that both of these sisters they're the ones that produced it as well. So I don't know. If it felt weird to me, and at the same time, I'm glad he was nominated because that's what I was hoping for. Denzel Washington was a bit of a surprise too.
These are the 5 that I thought. Who do you think anyone got left out? If you're taking Denzel, not to take Denzel off, but like, who did you expect?
Well,
because I thought
obviously
Denzel was
Tom Holland in Spider-Man No Way Home. Absolutely, buddy. Yep.
Well, Spider-Man is my favorite superhero. This is my second favorite Spider-Man movie ever. It's just freaking.
Yeah. Well, I didn't mean anything that I said about Will Smith. Moving to Best Supporting Actress. It's a tight race. I don't know with this. Jessie Buckley from The Lost Daughter. I mean,
This is where West Side Story should get its only
I think
win.
this will be the lock for West Side Story more than
Okay.
anything. It's going to be Ariana DeBose. I think if I could say anything about that film when it was over, it was that the dancing, the performances in that sense were fantastic. And she was pretty much the focal point in all of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm leaning towards that as well. For actor in supporting role, let's be honest, Troy Kotsur's got it. I want him to get this so bad. He's I think he's the first deaf actor to be nominated, and they're not going to pass up a chance to, give him what he's due, which is a freaking Oscar for his performance.
This is where we're splitting our.
Coda does not work without that dad.
Yeah,
that ending. It doesn't work without the genuineness, without he's got this kind, carefree attitude, but at the same time is very hyper aware of what's happening around him, and kind of vigilant and with his daughter towards the end, wanting to make sure that he's able to hit this level of maturity that most parents don't when it comes to that stuff. It takes a long time for them to be like, oh, this is the dream that you have. Well, let's go and do it. But the performance.
It might say more about me and I don't know, my relationship with my parents, where I come from, and how our biases sway how we view movies. But the scene with her mother in her bedroom that happens before she goes and does the audition and everything like that, I thought was a more powerful moment than necessarily when she's on the scene. Whenever we see these montages of great moments of 2021, the scene where she has on the truck bed with her dad is what a lot of people have keyed into. But I liked her mom's performance better than the dad's performance. Also, that mom I remember from The West Wing. Second time I've been able to bring that up on the podcast today. She
wasn't nominated, right?
She was not. No.
Okay. Well,
but that's we're just talking about. Yeah.
No.
Your Coda love, I think, is
very.
We all have the movies that we love, and we would love to see literally everything in those movies get nominated.
You know what? You're with me on Andrew. You're patronizing me right now. That's what I can feel, and I'm against that too.
I'm just saying.
Okay.
He's not, I don't think he's the actual front runner for Oscars-y stuff. And he probably wouldn't be my winner if I just lined up all of my supporting roles.
Which we're going to have to see.
I want to do.
We're going to have to see. Place your bets, people. Let's, costume design. I'm going to be honest. I think Cruella might have this.
Sure.
Yeah. I didn't like Cruella.
Technical categories. I liked it.
I thought it was absurd.
It was second favorite live action thing.
The dogs are the villains. The
No.
dogs are the villains. They kill their mom.
The other lady was the villain. She's the one that sicked him on them.
Oh, well, those dogs were not kind, loving creatures through the whole movie.
Some dogs aren't.
Wow. Well, that's doggist.
Because they were raised that way.
Oh, okay. Okay. Here's the thing. You're going to make a villain movie and have no villain? She's not a villain.
She doesn't do anything.
Disney has much. At all. She doesn't even do the signature Cruella move of wearing animal skin. Do it. They just make a joke that she might be, and she's like, "No, of course, darling, I'm not wearing animal skin." It's like, well, that's what you should do.
It's Emma Thompson, right?
She's Emma Stone.
Emma
Stone and Emma Thompson.
Yeah,
right?
Emma Thompson's the bad guy.
Cruella should be the bad guy.
This is an origin.
It needs to be the turn of her. It's not about she's this misunderstood person that has this horrid backstory, which his backstory is ridiculous, right? First, you've got this lady who is way more villainous than Cruella. I'll give you that. But she shouldn't be, This is a turn. This is where Cruella turns
And
into a
by
villain.
the end of the
by
movie,
end,
she
she's not a
had.
was she wearing animal skin? If she's not wearing animal skin, she's not Cruella. It's like a signature. It's like if you have Spider-Man and he can't climb up walls. Like, then what is the point of the Spider-Man? Or like,
you are basing
your kind of an anti-hero.
You're basing your
he'll kill some
101
people.
Dalmatians lore on one animated movie from the 70s during Disney's
I'm
worst
talking
era.
About the live action
the
Glenn Close, homie. I'm talking about the Glenn Close
that
homie.
were pretty
How dare you.
bad.
She was way better.
101 and 102.
Glenn Close would mop the floor with Emma Stone. She would wear her skin.
I don't understand. And so because
I'm just saying,
because she did not actually wear animal skin,
they're softening their villains.
Is the costume design of Cruella worse?
Look, that's what I'm saying. The costume design is fantastic.
I still can't.
Like everything about that was great, and which is why I'm surprised that I'm saying I think this will win, and I kind of want it to. But this movie was not good, and anybody that here's the thing: people aren't necessarily loving franchises anymore. They're loving brands, right? And this film, it feels like people love it more because of the Disney brand as opposed to what this actual film was trying to do, which to me, I think they failed miserably. They wanted to make
decent PG-13 Joker.
They wanted to make a Cruella film. By definition, they did not accomplish it, in my opinion. They made like an adjacent Elseworld where she's the misunderstood hero.
They did a Solo.
What do you mean?
Where they just like key in on the origin story of someone that has a complicated past. And I think this one
again. I don't know what.
Solo, a Star Wars story.
Yeah, what about Solo?
An adjacent story that isn't about the core thing.
But he wasn't a villain.
He's more of a scoundrel than he ends up being by the end of that movie.
Exactly. He wasn't wearing Chewbacca. He wasn't just walking around with Chewbacca's pelts. And then when they do the origin story, he's like, I would never touch Wookiee pelt. And then
I don't think that's as big of a. You're focusing on one thing in a whole movie that's not that important. Cruella was a good movie. It's the most
important thing.
It isn't. Cruella's attitude.
It's like if Simba were a llama. It's absolutely not at all what that character is supposed to be.
That was Emperor's New Groove, and it was great.
I know, but what if they were like, Simba is now a rat, just a smelly rat that doesn't do anything that you thought he was.
I mean, that would be.
I'm not calling Emma Stone a rat.
In 101 Dalmatians instead of dogs. I'm saying that
she did a great job of being a hero, a misunderstood hero, but she's not a villain.
Which is
and they
what
did
that
not
was set
her
up to
be that way.
Have you seen any of the Descendants movies on Disney Channel?
The dogs are the villains. The dogs are the villains, man. I can't get behind that.
That is such a weird criticism because you're keying on something that is almost right.
Thomas Hooper, and I want it cat style. What?
You're keying in on something that has been right about Disney in this era, and that they don't know how to do villains and they won't commit to them. But Cruella is like the worst, the best example of them doing that in an okay way. There are so many just like egregious things that they have done where they can't make a villain. Cruella, the whole point of the movie was to give us some empathy for someone that would later be a villain in their life and show them how normal people can take a villainous route if their upbringing and the path that they took there is not ideal. And it did a good job doing that.
I
believe by the end of the movie that person could be evil.
The difference to me between Glenn Close and Emma Stone's characters, right, is the difference of what Loki was in the first Avengers film versus what his Disney Plus series is now. He's not a villain anymore. He doesn't want to. He has a fundamental change in Loki that he doesn't have in this. And I don't know. It makes Loki a more interesting character, but we've built up that and we've gotten to that point. If they're going to start this Cruella with her being a misunderstood, like start her evil, really evil, then grow her
into her redemption.
If they really want, because that's what the whole movie was trying to do. Say that she's redeemed because the dogs killed her mom. And that's absurd. And then it turns out that wasn't even her mom. That's ridiculous. It's a stupid. So the whole point was moot. Like she shouldn't even be mad anymore because that wasn't her mom. It's
you can still be mad.
It's crazy. That movie's crazy. Best sound.
I'm just so confused.
Man, the more we do this, Peter's gonna get us canceled. They'll be like, this guy really wants to put dog fur on actors, and I don't know what's happening. What do you think for best sound? Do we want to do best sound? No, Dune, yeah.
There aren't 2 sound categories anymore, so Dune can just get this one.
I think original score, Dune has also got it.
Yeah, sure.
the throat noises and stuff.
Encanto, by the way, do you know? So when we nominate Encanto for score, we're talking about the score parts, not even the song parts.
No.
Can you hum a single score beat from Encanto?
No, but to be fair, the thing I just did for Dune wasn't necessarily a score. I just did the weird throat thing, right?
But I don't know. That's Hans Zimmer. That's what he does. When Inception got nominated, all we could all do was whom. So
yeah, but that's, I don't know. It's a little stereotyping of Hans Zimmer. I don't know. That the was the only thing I remember.
But like the rest of the score was decent. Whereas Encanto,
it was Lin-Manuel's music that made it work.
I want to know if Academy members knew what they were voting on whenever they put that in there. Because like maybe it does have a good score. I haven't gone back and like analyzed it, and I don't have a music degree, so I can't tell you what score is better. But like just seeing that nominated for score, I wonder if Academy members just didn't know what they were doing. Because these are just people, and their awards don't mean anything if you don't want them to.
Yeah. What about adapted screenplay? I have a feeling that
is this where Drive My Car can get some stuff?
Getting another one, either Power of the Dog or The Lost Daughter.
So Drive My Car actually gets all of these nominations, but is it going to come away with 0 wins?
I don't know. I don't know what they're going to give Drive My Car.
Because also, I don't know what it was adapted from. Like when Joker gets Best Adapted Screenplay, I'm like, okay, I've read Batman comics. I know what Joker is based on. But Drive My Car was a totally new story to me, which is fun. How about, so we're looking at now original screenplay. How about Sorkin actually getting nominated for like a couple actors that were in his movie and not getting a screenplay nod? Is that like a first for him? Because what he does is screenplays.
I don't know. I think it just comes with, because the way that these votes work is kind of weird too. Like they pull from the average, and then whoever was the average like number of votes coming in it might not even be the top one that gets the most votes that actually makes it into it. So it could have been something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I just feel like when Sorkin
from No Spider-Man No Way Home.
When Sorkin has a movie that comes out, I feel like people just pencil him in as a screenplay person, and that just didn't happen this year. Which honestly, I love. Like I loved Being the Ricardos. I think maybe he should be nominated, but good for the Academy for not just like seeing his name and nominating him.
Would you have swapped out Don't Look Up?
Oh yeah, that screenplay.
Because I feel like Adam McKay and Aaron Sorkin could make a great movie together. Sorkin writing it and McKay directing it. Like McKay is very good at visually telling like informative stories, right? And Sorkin's writing is very dense. It's informative, but it's dense. So I think that could be a good blend between the two.
I mean, The Big Short was a good movie by Adam McKay where he does what you're saying, but Vice was not. This was not. Anchorman was good, but that's not
I'm
like
surprised you didn't like Vice. So I thought Vice was pretty good.
It was bad.
Well, okay. We're not telling you what we're skipping. You'll figure it out. We don't want to be judged. Film editing. Don't Look Up is also again on this, but I am going to give it to Tick Tick Boom.
Boom.
Yeah, I think Tick Tick Boom could take that.
The thing, and I try to be fair to movies that I love, but the things I loved about Tick Tick Boom were its editing, how it juxtaposed him doing a one-man play that they're basing this thing on versus like playing out the things that he's describing, and Andrew Garfield's performance. Like, it's my favorite movie, so like, sure, nominated for everything, but actually the two things that are the best about it are the two things that I think it has the best chance to win at, and are the two things I'm fighting for, right? If someone else was nominated for acting, or if it was nominated for, I guess, adapted screenplay would be decent because the way they adapted that one-man play would be kind of cool, but the two best things that I will fight for are editing and Andrew Garfield. It doesn't have to get everything, even though it was my favorite movie of the year.
Yeah. Well, we got makeup and hairstyling, and I think, again, this might go to Cruella, but there's also a lot to me to think, no, dude, Jared Leto didn't get it, and I don't think this is going to get it either. And we can talk about that, I guess. Thank you, Academy. I'm going to thank you for not putting Jared Leto into this. That would have been a nightmare. And nobody wanted that. We love Lady Gaga, so Lady Gaga fans, back off already. You know, they are attacking. They're like, this is the biggest affront since when Jesus was crucified. Like they're very intense about it. Sure. And I'm not exaggerating. Some of those posts were about that cringe level.
That's your fault for ever going on Twitter.
You know, that's how we interacted at first on Twitter. That's why I got to keep doing it, because then I get cool people like you to come on the show, talk about shit.
Gotcha.
But I do think the Eyes of Tammy Faye is probably going to take it, in my opinion. Especially if it's Jessica Chastain. A lot of the, I won't say that a lot of the things that makes it her performance Oscar worthy is the transformation, but it is a big part in why we're able to connect with her being a completely different person.
I mean, remember when Steve Carell's nose got nominated for makeup and hairstyling in Foxcatcher, when literally the only thing they did was give him a fake nose, and that was like,
look out next year when Colin Farrell gets nominated for the Penguin. I think so.
No.
Yeah. Then, who's the guy that people keep saying looks like Richard something?
Danny DeVito.
No, not Danny. Okay. Best animated feature.
So before you scroll down, I have not read your things. What was your favorite versus what do you want? What do you think will win for animated? Animated. What we're looking at right now.
For animated, for me, I think that it's always going to be a toss up for actually a few of these categories that we're going to go through with Flea, because Flea is likely going to win a lot of stuff.
Okay.
At least I'm hoping. Where they're winning, I'm not sure. I think Mitchell's versus the Machines was incredible. Mm-hmm. I think Encanto could be the populist choice of the year. Because everybody thinks we don't talk about Bruno. It's everywhere.
It hit #1 on the Billboard.
Yep. So there's definitely a chance for that. But honestly, my heart says Mitchell's versus the Machines should get it. As far as animation goes and the animation style, Flea, you'll never see something as unique as Flea when it comes to animated format and how they execute it. Right. Mm-hmm. It's pretty amazing. But Mitchell's versus the Machines, it's kind of like Coda for me, where it's like it started at the beginning of the year and I've loved it ever since.
Okay.
And that was the top. What about you?
Luca was my favorite. Luca's in my top 5, I think.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Man, nobody's talking about Luca.
They also don't talk about Bruno.
They don't talk about Bruno, but they don't remember Luca.
I love Luca.
For documentary, that's where I also think Flea is probably going to win, and the runner-up could be Summer of Soul, in my opinion.
So I guess I didn't actually scroll down on some of these more boring categories, but the rescue, the
shade,
whatever. I like documentaries, but I guess I don't care about the Academy that much, other than just memorizing what wins. So, the Disney Plus, directed by the same dude that did Free Solo. I think it's just called The Rescue. It's about
that's very good.
It was great. Mm-hmm. That's my favorite documentary that I've seen so far. I still have Flea to get to.
Yeah. Oh, you've not watched Flea?
I have not seen Flea yet.
Okay.
But so I'm hoping that it's great. But The Rescue was wonderful, and everything was saying that it was going to get nominated and did not. That's surprising.
Well, Summer of Soul, I saw that also back at Sundance. Mm-hmm. Super good. I think that there's a big chance for Questlove to get an Oscar with this because he's been pulling for it, and he did something that is very similar to Peter Jackson with the Beatles Get Back, where he just found a ton of archived footage.
Sat in a room and looked like,
and just went through it, right? And like that level of dedication can only happen when like you have to go through your parents' photos and make something for them, or like you're uploading their music to iTunes manually,
That's what he was
doing. Which I
like,
didn't
that
have
was
to do when I grew up.
Very manual. He was working with analog stuff, so good for him.
All right, so let's see. Original song. We're about through with these, I think. No Time to Die is probably going to win, in my opinion, because I don't know why we don't talk about Bruno isn't on this. For some reason, this one is on. Dos Oruguitas?
It's the ending. It's the emotional song at the end.
Yeah, but like that's not the one.
Wait, the Ariana Grande one didn't get nominated.
No, Ariana Grande didn't get it either. I'm really surprised Work Days got a nomination especially for music, but I mean, good for it, Cinematography.
Dune.
You think Dune?
I
think there's
Macbeth would be fun.
Power of the Dog might get it. Ari Wagner did pretty incredible with that. The landscape shots were pretty amazing. But Dune, that's one of those things where it's like I hope they do give them something.
It's pretty.
That. International feature, again, this is where Flea has a chance. But The Worst Person in the World is so freaking good.
See, I haven't found where to watch that one yet because I missed out on the screener links. And so now I'm just like scouring so Worst Person in the World, Drive My Car, and Flea, I have all not seen and I need to. Like those are movies that I think that I will like more than they're the ones that actually got nominated too.
Gotcha. Hand to God, no. Hand to God, I hope that doesn't happen. Best production design, we can just skip. Visual effects. This is where Spider-Man No Way Home belongs, according to Cole.
Its visual effects were pretty good. Free Guy's visual effects were not very good. How did that get nominated?
Free Guy.
And what did No Time to Die even do?
Let's be real. I think Dude will win this one too.
Yeah.
I think
it's the only serious looking movie on there.
Yep. Well, that's everything for the list of those. And I think we actually spent a lot of time covering it.
Yeah.
Probably enough that we can skip the sketch, or at least for this one.
Okay.
And we'll address Movie Pass later. we need to give it its due. Like, we need to actually make this more of a thing. So before we do it, I hope that people go and check out what the Movie Pass situation was back over on my channel. And for that, let's move over to, I was going to go to commercial, but we don't have a commercial yet. We got to record it. Let's move into The Road to Vengeance.
Okay.
Vis-a-vis The Road to the Batman. This week has been pretty awesome as far as coverage goes, because they've started the press rounds, and so there's some interviews with cast talking about what they were doing with it.
Good framing on your shot, also with Batman in the background every time that you talk.
I think it works pretty well, but that won't be the Joker that we'll be seeing. There won't be a Joker. Who knows? We don't. And I think that
Jared Leto's so mad about not getting nominated for House of Gucci that he just crashes the set.
He's like, maybe we should release the Snyder cut. I mean, the Ayer cut. Oh yeah, did you see that there was a little promo that pitched all of the new movies that are coming out? So there's some footage of Black Adam, some footage of The Flash, some footage of Aquaman in like a 40-second teaser spot.
Okay.
Yeah, so
I did not see it.
Yeah, I guess there's stuff with that. I think we need to talk about the animated Batman.
Okay.
First, we need to talk about what your experience was with it. When I'm assuming we were both young when we got introduced to it. Was it the animated series?
So the animated series was on Fox. I did not get Fox, where I grew up in the middle of nowhere. We had Dish Network, which means we got everything but the local channels.
Wait, where were you from?
Middle of nowhere, Central Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay. I'm from middle of nowhere in Wyoming. So
right on.
Yeah.
So we had a dish on the side of our house that got us Cartoon Network, where I was introduced to the Justice League, show run by Bruce Timm, similarly to Batman the Animated Series. But that is where I saw Kevin Conroy's Batman for the first time, and then somehow its follow-up, Justice League Unlimited, was even better as you introduce even more heroes while having the core 7 be there. Batman has always been obviously Tim's favorite of that group, and so he gets great time within Justice League while everyone else is supported. And then I went back as an adult to watch the animated series, and it's really good too.
It's very good. Do you have a preference between the two, or is it because that's your first, you never forget it? Or
it's interesting. I think that he matured as he went on. I feel like Justice League and then Justice League, he kept getting better and better and better. And Batman Beyond, I think, is a little bit better than the original Batman. Also, there are some of those original Batman episodes that feel like it's a Saturday morning kids cartoon, and maybe it's because too many people told me oh, this is better than a normal kids show, and then I watched it and I was like, actually, this is more of a kids show than Justice League or Batman Beyond or a lot of the other ones that I'd already seen. It's still good. It's a great jumping off point. I recommend that people should not do what I did and actually start there. Yeah. But because I had already seen the Justice Leagues, those are my favorite.
I think for me, when I first saw the animated series, I was first and foremost a Burton person. Yeah. So I was watching the all four actually, just over and over. I know the last two are Schumacher, but then the series kind of showed up, and just how stylistic it was and different it was from anything that was out there at the time. Right? There's, I think the X-Men animated series was happening, the Spider-Man animated series was going on. None of them were working on just a blank black setting and then painting onto that and animating onto that.
For sure, the animation. I remember. It's only recently that I've come to appreciate more the visual aspects of storytelling in a movie. I always prefer script and the story they're trying to tell and that sort of stuff, which I think is more mature in the later ones. But just the pretty aspect, Batman's got it by far of anything that was going on in the 90s.
Yep. And I think that it also, the fact that it took their audience seriously when a lot of animated stuff just wasn't doing that for kids, right? Yeah. And there's the take seriously in the sense Mr. Rogers spoke plainly to kids and explained stuff, but this was they actually put kids through it. They're let's show you some emotional drama, let's give you some areas with these villains that might scare you later on. I remember one specific episode was the Ra's al Ghul episode, Nightmare Fuel.
Sure.
Like, funny enough, like it never was Batman. It was always his rogues gallery that would freak me out, and his Bat Cave with the big giant penny and the dinosaur and like all. They're so amazing to just like, and it's something that everybody compares to now. Like anytime any other Batman comes on, but how does it stack up to the definitive animated series? Or how does it stand up to the comics? It either goes between those two, unless you haven't really been introduced too much to those. Then it's how does it stack up to like Tim Burton of the Dark Knight trilogy.
Which, I mean, yeah, Elfman pulls his theme also from what they get their theme from what Elfman had already done on Tim Burton.
But we got to give credit to the who's the lady that actually does score it? We were just talking about it. Shirley Walker. Cool. Shirley Walker is fantastic. And in prepping for this, actually, yesterday I watched Mask of the Phantasm again.
Yes.
Now, this was a theatrical released film.
Animated Batman.
Animated theatrically released film. So yeah, Spider-Verse, suck it. They got there first, right? I think that it's probably one of the best Batman stories ever put to screen.
The best comparison. So whenever we talked about like our favorite Batmans, like I talked about how you have good Batman, you have good Bruce Wayne, you have good like whole package or whatever. Like you can do the fiscality or whatever. Mask of the Phantasm is the only Batman movie that's actually really about Batman, whereas all the other ones love his villains. Like you said, like the villains are what gave Nightmare Fuel even in the animated series. His villains are so good and they elevate Batman to who he is. But especially in The Dark Knight, which is, maybe my favorite movie ever. Now I'm going to be the villain on that. It's more of a Joker and a Heath Ledger. Yeah. What do you have a picture of? Heath Ledger is the main focus of that picture because he's a better focus and he's what the movie's about more than Batman. Yeah. Right, the proportions of this poster are exactly what that movie is about. It's Heath Ledger's performance and the Joker. And then here's Christian Bale right here. Whereas Mask of the Phantasm is the best movie that we get focusing on who Bruce Wayne is and who the Batman is as a hero.
No, that's very true. Well, and we already know that Nolan's intention was to make a crime drama, not necessarily like a detective story like what we saw with the animated series, or necessarily like just a big fight 'em.
In serious crime drama movies, it's the bad guys and the guys doing the crime more than the cops that are trying to stop them. And so Batman gets to play second fiddle, which is fine in that movie, right? Batman Begins was more about him, but Mask of the Phantasm is better than Batman Begins.
Who is your favorite villain from his rogues gallery in the animated series?
I mean, Sub-Zero gets a lot of credit because they like totally revolutionized him from what he was in the comics. Clayface, though, just like from a superpower standpoint, like what he brings to the table was very cool. Because a lot of them are just like Joker or Riddler. They're like crazy guys that he punches a couple times, but it's more like psychological. Whereas Clayface had a legitimate superpower that just this guy with bat like throwing knives has to go up against.
He's impossible to fight in the Arkham series. Actually, no, he was pretty easy. It wasn't too difficult. I do think you're right when it comes to Mr. Freeze. Like, look at what Schwarzenegger's performance was like in Batman and Robin. Granted, the tone wasn't going for this animated series. It was going for the Adam West version. And I'll die on that hill. They were intending to make a new Adam West Batman. That's why it's so weird. That's why it's weird.
I mean, if Joel Schumacher had ever seen Adam West Batman, I'd give you $1 and give you credit for it. I would bet that he hasn't.
I bet you anything that he did, because there's no way that you pull out a Bat credit card and not think that they're that like, okay, you're doing something a little bit of a throwback. But most people just saw it as like, oh, opportunity to sell toys. Like there's that business side of it that really messed with it. But the freeze puns,
had those toys.
Every single pun. And even in Batman Forever, here's how I know that he's watched the original. Holy Rusted Metal Batman. He does a callback.
But you don't. I hadn't seen Adam West Batman, and I knew that reference.
Oh, well, that's on you. I like the Two-Face too. Two-Face's arc is pretty incredible in the animated series, and I love.
As opposed to Tommy Lee Jones and Billy D. Williams and.
Billy D. Williams did not get to be Two-Face. He got to be Harvey Dent, and sadly, only in comics will he be Two-Face, unless they pull a Rise of Skywalker and he just shows up on a ship and is like, "Hey, I'm Two-Face." flicks the coin at someone's face and runs away or something. They could do it with now that the Burtonverse is officially kind of back in, right?
Because Keaton.
There's a chance. I mean, there's a lot of backstory that we don't have of Michael Keaton's Batman as to what he's been up to during this time. And there's a big chance that there is a much larger rogues gallery that appeared during the span of whenever they come back in time. Or,
before he gets to Old Man Batman. Yeah. Sure.
So that's pretty intense. What I love about the animated series, though, is that it's influencing the new Batman. Like you can hear that from the score. You can hear that from the actors and Matt Reeves himself when they're talking about where they're trying to like steer this new iteration of the character towards. It's towards detective comics, and it's towards like film noir, which that show is noir. You can't deny it. Pretty much the entire time it's set in a detective setting. There's not a lot of, there's some like fighting explosion stuff, but it doesn't get to that point until Batman Beyond, where Batman Beyond steers way more into futuristic Blade Runner, and a lot of fun action with it. Now I gotta say, I love Batman Beyond. Like this was my jam. The animated series I respected and really liked, but Batman Beyond, I felt like I could be Batman. Like, you know, with the animated series, you're like, I want to be with Batman. I'd be in the Batmobile chilling and having fun. This one, I'd like to be that. Like that's definitely a possibility with Terry McGinnis. And his backstory, the new villains that were brought in, and we have to talk about the film Return of the Joker.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is a terrific Mark Hamill performance. And we didn't even talk about Mark Hamill and the Joker. What's wrong with us?
The definitive Joker.
The definitive Joker, which again, when you watch Mask of the Phantasm, you're reminded how incredible he is. And
he just kind of shows up. Like that's why Mask of the Phantasm is so good, because it's great Batman. The Joker is in it without actually stealing the show, right? He is amazing in every scene that he is. But when he goes away, you're not thinking, oh man, this movie sucks, I want more Joker. You're thinking, oh, this is a solid movie. And oh boy, we get some little Joker as a treat.
Well, and he steals the show just in the fact that like he's, you know, Mark Hamill's just so good. Yeah. Like it's tough to
he doesn't upstage. Sorry, that's what
he's not really upstaging, but I have to say the Laughing Fish episode was fantastic. His transition, and we'll talk about more about Mark Hamill when we get into the video games and stuff, because there's a transition to his story arc when he transitions into the Arkham series that makes his Joker, even like his voice, sound different and the tone completely different. But I loved him in this being the funny, like silly Joker as well. Yeah. Harley Quinn, of course, a fully original character created within the animated series, who has gone on, and we can talk about, we should probably talk about the animated Batman in the Harley Quinn show. Are you watching the Harley Quinn series at all?
No.
Oh, just too much stuff. You're missing out on some good, fun animated series throwbacks. Seriously, Clayface is a huge part in it. Okay. He's like the lead, one of the leads. Who's Alan Tudyk plays him, and he also plays the Joker in this too. And there's this one clip where he finds out who Batman is, and he's like, Bruce Wayne. And the thing that pisses him off the most is that he's been waiting for a Wayne Tech Tesla car for 6 months, and he's like, "Where's my freaking car, Bruce?" Yeah. But that's a good show, dude. You need to check that out. Seriously, if you love the animated series, you're gonna love it. It's so good. It's only but love for it, and they make fun of some Snyderverse people. That's pretty amazing. Yeah. They cut to some people on a couch that are wearing a couple shirts. Released the Snyderverse and The Last Jedi sucks or something. And they're just like, Harley Quinn, an all-female thing. This is stupid. It's good. It's got a lot of swears. Toymaker, do you know him from Wonder Woman? He calls Wonder Woman the C word in it, and he gets canceled, and that's why he's no longer a supervillain. Because they're like, we can't be seen with you doing that. Giancarlo Esposito plays Lex Luthor. Okay. There are some heavy hitters in it, and I think Lake Bell plays Poison Ivy. So there's some cool things, and of course, Poison Ivy character is great in the animated series. But were there any other films that you had seen? There's a ton that are out now. Like
Under the Red Hood is good.
Yeah, Under the Red Hood. What did you think between?
And then the Sub-Zero gets his own movie. It's like Batman versus Sub-Zero or something.
It's just like Batman Sub-Zero. Yeah. What did you think between? Did you watch the Death of the Robin, A Death in the Family? No, it's a newer one. Did you watch The Killing Joke?
Yeah.
Is that what we were gonna? I remember we were talking about how we were gonna have to address this. The Killing Joke is
one of the best
30%
comic
garbage,
book books
70%
of all
good.
time.
Mm.
That's what that's what we can focus on. The Killing Joke. Go to your local library. Go to Barnes and Noble. Pick up the book. Open it up. Read it.
Or you can watch
It's great.
You can watch it. Just start a half hour in.
Yeah,
That's really all you need to do. I remember watching it in the theater, thinking like, "Man, I can't believe they're putting out what is he doing with back? No, stop! It was terrifying. I get that same emotion when I watch 90 Day lately, where it's like that dude's 54 years old and he's trying to find someone that's 20 in Panama. This is insane. Why are the producers not stopping it? Oh no, they bought his plane ticket. Oh no, he's there. This lady's been dodging his text for months, and he's like, the train's already going too fast to stop. Let's go, baby. That's what the first half hour of Killing Joke is weird, creepy fantasy stuff that Bruce Timm, he went somewhere, or was it Paul Dini? It wasn't Paul Dini. It was just Bruce Timm, right?
Who knows?
That did this one.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Because they tack on. I mean, the problem is tonally, you do have two entirely different movies. Because once it gets into Killing Joke, they're very faithful, and they take a lot of the imagery from what was drawn in that book, and they take a lot of the dialogue from what's in that book. Mm-hmm. But then you have like Barbara Gordon's sassy gay friend at her job. That's like, cool, let's have that character, but not in a movie where they just
now
go
all
away
he's doing is saying,
and it becomes...
you could use a spa day, like pandering and making it. I know, I'm sure at this point, all of the tropes and stuff to the gay best friend is pretty stale for most of the LGBTQ community. They're like,
or anyone that's ever seen an actual gay person in real life, like,
yeah,
but
it's rough. That movie is rough and already very dated.
Yeah, the point is, it's the first half is a different movie. Like, it's just you can tell is written by.
I think it's an hour for Killing Joke. Like, you get the full, and they do it exactly right. You can't deny that.
And the thing is, it's a short book.
They just horrify and anger you for the first half hour, and it negates everything else that they do. Like, all the goodwill gets thrown out when you're like, oh, let's have Batman and Batgirl have sex. That'll work.
And the thing is,
fans will love it.
Does come first. So we never get goodwill when watching the movie. We have to sit through that, and we're like, wow, this is not even Killing Joke. This is bad.
What did he tell Gordon?
And then Killing Joke starts.
What do you even say to Gordon after that, man? That's his daughter.
You don't tell him.
They're partners. This is the grossest freaking Batman on the planet. That dude's a mess. I want to talk about The Dark Knight Returns Part 1 and Part 2.
Okay.
I think that is also a definitive story that they do actually an excellent job with. The voice acting is very good. And surprised that, who's the guy? Westworld. He's in Westworld. He's the man in black. You know what I'm talking about?
I guess so, but not. Yeah.
Westworld.
Buying time.
I got to do it so nobody attacks us. That would be Ed Harris. He voices Batman, and pretty incredible. He got a very commanding voice in it. For the most part, they're pretty to the comic, right?
No spoilers. The first question when you Google Man in Black Westworld, is the Man in Black in Westworld a robot?
And yeah, we're still learning that, I guess. Do you watch Westworld?
I watched season 1.
Well, okay. Well,
and it was really good.
You're way behind on that. But I think the Superman fight, the Part 2, is incredible. Way better than Batman v Superman. You can quote me on that. Mm-hmm. I really think that this animated series is, if they were going to go with where they were going for BVS, they should have just straight up adapted it.
Yeah.
They really should have, instead of trying to introduce it. But that's another day, another time.
There's also, if we're expanding past Tim and just Kevin Conroy animated Batman, there's the So we'll talk about Arkham video games, but Assault on Arkham. Like a little Batman.
Batman ninja. He was a ninja at one point. He was with the Ninja Turtles at one point as well.
The Dark Justice League Dark. He's in that one with Constantine. Very good.
Mm.
Even like Flashpoint, like
there's
other
Batman and
Justice
Robin,
League
like
things.
Batman and Sons thing with him and Damian.
Oh, interesting.
And which I got to ask, what are your thoughts on Damian Wayne? He's the newest Robin. He's literally the son of Batman.
Yes.
Do you think that he lives up to the hype? Do you think he's just kind of a dick like Jason Todd and we should kill him off and have him turn into a villain?
No. So we've already done that with Jason Todd. The key whenever you bring characters into a similar mantle is have them do something different. And with this, the Batman Robin dynamic should have always been father sonny, and now he actually has to grapple with the fact that this is his son, which lets you do Batman in a different way. I don't know if they've like accomplished any of that. I don't care too much. Like Batman and Robin is still just like OG Batman and Robin for me, and then a little under the Red Hood action. But yeah, you need another Robin. Nightwing's gone and Jason Todd's gone, so yeah. It was a fine concept.
Well, can you think of any others that we want to address?
We've hit a lot.
I think we've hit a lot.
Justice League, and honestly, Justice League Unlimited is still one of the best television shows. One of my favorite television shows of 3D all Batman time. Too.
And they had a monster Joker that was like a big dude that had like tattoos on him. It wasn't like tattoos. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
It was
almost like an ultimate version, the way Marvel does that a lot of times.
Yeah. He was like a monster though. It was so weird.
Like CGI 3D,
yeah,
is that what you're talking about?
Kind of like that guy.
Ew.
Or yeah, this one. That was the Joker in the end.
It looks like it's trying to pull from Batman Beyond, like a little bit more exaggerated.
It feels like they wanted to do ultimate version
of
Green Goblin, but they just adapted it to being Joker.
And then paint him white.
To me, at least, it looks like it. I don't like when Joker looks like a monster. He's a lot smarter than that. That's a weird tone. Yeah,
there are plenty of monsters.
I think that about does it for this episode, Cole.
Yeah,
I think this was.
We got to talk Batman. We got to talk Oscars.
Yep. Well, hey, make sure that you guys check out all of our previous episodes. Go and like and rate and review the podcast. I never really do this, so it's good that we're actually, addressing this part.
Good shill.
To actually go and check out some stuff. Shill, do things. Where can the people find you?
I write reviews for an online magazine, incamag.com, INQUA, and then my Twitter is @ColeWissinger.
All right. Well, hey, thank you again, as always, for joining us. Everybody, hope you have a good rest of your day, and gaggle on.